time we kept behind schedule. It was just to trying to face an unavoidable situation. Welcome to the Acre Advantage, where you learn about real estate, understanding how to multiply wealth through real estate. Today, I will be discussing some financial mistake in real estate. One thing people fail to understand is, in as much as real estate is a brick by brick to multiply your wealth, you can also make some costly mistakes that can drain your finance. And we'll be extracting some of these financial mistakes that could cost you your finance. That's why we tell people, you don't let anybody sugarcoat you and tell you just buy. No, there are strategies, there are modalities. That is where consulting is very important. Like I always tell people, a capital that is not secured cannot guarantee profit. It's only a guaranteed capital that guarantees profit. You want to put your money in an investment, you firstly make research about that investment. You make research about that business. You try to know about that business. So when you try to make about that business, you're not able to know, okay, I've known about this, I've understand the modus, ask questions where necessary. They haven't done that. You are not sure that if I put in my 1 million, if I put in my 10 million naira, I am sure of profit coming at the end of the day. And that is why I always tell people, a guaranteed capital, a secured capital guarantees your profit. Now, today, let's look at some costly mistakes people make. You can buy a cheap land that can trap your capital. Buying cheap land without considering the location as a factor where the land is situated. I've seen people buy land because it's cheap. They told the land is 400,000. No, the land is 500,000. You just go and buy. You don't just, when we talk about real estate, it's not an industry where you just buy because it is land. Yes, there is this notion, and it is correct, but the definition of that theory should be well explained. Land has a factor. Land appreciates, no doubt about that. In as much as land appreciates, there are factors that bring appreciation to a land. I can buy land in community A and go buy land in community Z. Community A will give me fast appreciation, and community Z might take me a longer period of time before I get appreciation. By that, I have my finances trapped. There are people that have bought land in some locations without considering the factors of without considering location as a factor, and that has cost them their finance. It's not as if they will not get their money over the time. What it simply does for them, it traps their money for a long period of time. One costly mistake people make. When I showed him, he said, sir, there's a difference. And I told him, if you have not done this, you will have bought the problem, because you could have gone back to the community and tomorrow say, I want to go put sand in my land, let me start a little bit. You see that somebody else has bought the property. You start a fight. This is how mistakes people make. At the end of the day, they start having legal contention on the land they bought. So when we tell you there are some financial mistakes you make in land, these are mistakes people have made in land. You will see people dragging a particular piece of land for 10 years, for 5 years, for 15 years. It's not because they did not buy the land. Yes, they paid for that land. But the mistake they made on that land, it's a costly mistake. Not following the right channel, not consulting, not asking questions, because you feel they're just giving you a paper to just sign, and you think, don't if you the moment you append your signature on the document you do not understand, trust me, you can be sued. That document can be used against you because it's your signature. So we've talked about location as if one of the mistakes people make, and we've talked about documents that people should look into. The relevant documents you should look when buying a land. Like I said, I highlighted the documents, major documents you should look in buying a land. We talked about the root title of the land. We talked about the deed of assignment. We talked about the survey of the land, and of course the seal of own of that land. Now, let me just extract this document. I've extracted the root title and the deed of assignment. And of course, What is a survey plan? People will always tell you a survey plan is not a title document. Yes, it is not a title document, but it is important for a land. When you buy a land that has a registered survey, you have done yourself nothing else but good. That survey helps you to know the boundary of your land. If somebody should encroach on your land, you can use your survey plan to fight that person out to leave your space of your land. Because when you survey your land, there is a government registered beacon that is placed at the four corner point of your land, showing the boundary of that land. It is not just a block. That block, those numbers you see on that block there, they are essential numbers that are used to demarcate your land from every other person's land. Now, when you go apply for a C of O at the GIS of any state, when you go apply for C of O at the Geometric Informative Service of any Geometric Informative System of any state, they will ask you for the root title, the deed of assignment, and the registered survey to apply for C of O. Now, why do you think you need these three documents to apply for C of O? Because the C of O is telling the government that I own this land and I want to lease the land. I want you to get I want the government approval. I am drawing the attention of the government. Now, this parcel of land, I acquired it and I want the government's attention to be known to this land. Let the government give me a legal document showing that this land is mine. That's why we call it certificate of occupancy, that I am occupying this parcel of land. The government should be aware of it. Now, the government will give you the C of O when you have the three other documents as listed. Before they give you C of O, when you apply for C of O, they come to inspect the land, to check the land. If they check on their system and their system cannot capture the land where it is situated, they go inspect that land. And when they get to check your land, that is where you see where the government registered survey is important. They must be sure that when they get it, they see the government beacon that is surveyed by a registered surveyor. So you see why these things are important. They are not just anyhow blocks you see there. They are essential. So most people shy away from stress. I can't go through this stress because I want to buy a land. If you don't go through that stress now, your money will not just, your land will not just be gone, your money will also be gone. So to avoid this financial mistake, I've seen people lost their land after 10 years, after 5 years. You can buy a land without making a research on that land, without doing anything on that land. You buy the land, you start structure on it, and somebody already bought that land years ago. And the person can come and the person has a C of phone and has every relevant document on that land, and you do not have, because you did not make research. You did not check the legality of that land. You did not check the genuinity of that land. You did not check the security of the land. You just bought a land, you started building. If the other person that bought before you comes and has a proper legal document to that land and he sues you to court, you will lose that court case. And you will, if the person is benevolent enough, the person will not tell you to buy the land from him. Maybe you bought that land 1 million naira 10 years ago, and currently in that place they sell land for 15 million. The person wants to be very nice to you, can tell you to pay 20 million because the person knows you will not want to remove your house from the land. If the person wants to be good to you, can tell you, okay, bring the current amount they sell the land, 15 million naira. But to avoid these mistakes, to avoid these occurrences, that is why you should understand how it works when it comes to real estate. There is money in real estate. There is money in land banking. Yes, I always tell people, when you buy a land, it appreciates in value for you. Most importantly, when you buy a 100 by 100 piece of land and you develop a 50 by 100 piece of land and the other 50 by 100 is there, and after the next 5, 6, 7 years, you can sell the other 50 by 100, the amount you used to buy the whole full entire 100 by 100 piece of land. That's capital appreciation. I always say that there's a difference between a land and a building. Land appreciation value, or the appreciation land gives you, is not the same thing a building gives to you. No. This is where people will tell you that I bought a house, is a waste. No. If you want to build, I always give people a secret. If you have money, buy enough land from a genuine source. The moment you buy many land, you can over time in the next 2 years begin to sell one or two from there, use proceeds from your business, start developing your property. So by the time before you check, you'll find out that you use little from your business and used more from the many land you acquired because you have bought and kept for a while and started reselling some of them. So you're using the money to develop your project. At the end of the day, you find out you've used little from your business to develop a property. Because you can't expect to use 60 million naira to develop a land, a structure in the land, and you're expecting to get that 60 million naira in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. No. Don't make this costly mistake. Don't buy land in a random environment just because it is cheap. Ask questions, consider the location, consider the accessibility, consider the attraction of where you are buying the land. These are factors that will tell you if the land appreciation value will be vast over time or not. And again, document that backs up a land. Very essential. So that you don't end up buying a legal battle instead of buying a land. There are many persons that have bought land and over time they think they are happy they bought land rather than bought a legal battle. Because over before you know it, you start contending that same land with somebody else. Your seller has already sold to you. The seller has already sold to that same person. So that is why you should make inquiries, make your due diligence. As I always tell people most times, when you want to buy land for the purpose of investment, buy from a registered real estate firm that you have, in fact, a real estate firm that you have made research about, you've checked about them, you've checked their antecedents, they have testimonials of people that have done business with them, you should buy from them if you are buying for the purpose of investment. And of course, if you are not buying for the purpose of development, buy through a real estate firm that is still registered because they are expertise that will help you do a thorough due diligence on your land so that you don't end up making a financial mistake. Because when you buy a land, you're expected to have said, I've just bought peace of mind. But some persons will buy land and they've just bought problem. They've just bought trouble. And the truth is, it's not the day you buy the land, the trouble starts. You can buy the land now, the land is just there, you are going there, it's appreciating. Wait until you want to do something on that land, you want to develop that land, or you want to sell to somebody. Or you just go to the land and just as somebody has just even just dropped sand on your land, you start wondering who did this, who did that. That's where contention starts. So avoiding this mistake is very key. You can avoid them before buying than avoid them after buying. Because you avoid them before buying, you have saved yourself from financial problem, financial mistake. But when you avoid them after buying, you are trying to save yourself the say that I just want to reclaim my land because I already bought. You are spending more money. Like I said, it is only a secured capital that can guarantee profit. It is only when a land is genuinely secured that can guarantee your capital appreciation. Don't just buy land, buy value. At the Ecal Advantage, we don't just teach you how real estate helps you to multiply wealth. We teach you everything that is relevant about land banking, about land investment. Real estate is one of the best investments that you will not, can never regret when you invest through the right channel. When you consult through the right channel, you cannot make any mistake. But people will tell you that I have made mistake, I have bought. They just complaining. Go and find out. They invested through the wrong channel. They did not consult. They did not ask questions. And of course, the security of their investment is not guaranteed. Therefore, profit is not assured. Real estate guarantees your financial security for capital appreciation. Until next week we meet again, keep ensure you connect at the Ecal Advantage. I remain Egegaren Joseph Nero, the land banker, always educating the public on land banking investment. Thank you.